All right, guys, new data from a Redfin article indicating Canadians are bailing not only on the Southwest Florida and Florida housing market, but the U.S. market as a whole. We're going to get into that. Also going to cover how date the rate and marry the house is working out for some people. Spoiler alert, it's not great if you bought recently. And I want to cover the great delisting explosion that is getting so much media attention as well. But to start off, Canadians. I get asked this question all the time. Are you seeing Canadians sell off in mass, Ben? Have you seen a pullback in Canadian buyers? Now, again, I'm probably not the best barometer for that. I'm just one man. And I sell multiple houses a month, but certainly I'm not doing dozens of homes. I have seen an uptick in foreign sellers. I will say that. We have to disclose, it has to be disclosed prior to contract that you're working with a foreign seller, because the tax situation gets a little wonky there, and there's certain protocols that need to be met. So I have noticed that there is an uptick in foreign seller disclosures, but can I say that it's directly from Canada? No. If I'm going to go on some of the names, probably not, but I don't know. They could live anywhere, you know what I mean? So why Redfin is coming to this conclusion is they're basically stating that 26% fewer Canadians are searching for homes on their site across the U.S. this year as compared to last year. And while all home search inquiries are down, this is the most substantial. So it does look like, at least from taking a look from afar, there seem to be less people with eyes on Florida coming from Canada. Does that translate into less sales here? I don't know. I don't know if that's a great metric to go by. I will say that my seasonal rental associates have informed me that their Canadian customers basically are no-shows this year. And I have my own suspicions for various reasons for that. But they did say, basically all my one rental associate told me basically all my Canadian customers said they're not coming back this year. And I don't know if they're coming back ever. And as you guys know, the seasonal demand for rentals here has been so weak this year. Super, super weak. So that's got to be contributing to it. Stuff that's normally booked up a year in advance is still available for 26. So hard to say if it's translating into sales. I have not seen any Canadian buyers, but I do get one or two a year normally. I have not seen one yet. Well, I've gotten one this year. So I don't know. For me personally, not too different. I can definitely say it's affecting the rental market. I don't know. Let me know what you guys are seeing in your areas. They do go on to interview a couple agents around the country. And one agent from Phoenix, which is a Redfin agent, indicated that she normally works with 5 or 6 Canadian buyers per season. And this year, nothing. Nobody showed up. And she did have one Canadian seller. So they go on to extrapolate that snowbirding in general is becoming less popular across the U.S. And I agree with that. And you guys know it's definitely becoming less popular here in Southwest Florida. Now, whether your reasoning for that is economically motivated, politically motivated, carrying cost motivated, that's going to vary. But I can tell you here, you guys know one of the major contributing factors is the carrying cost. And to come down, buy an affordable seasonal home and justify the insurance and the taxes and the maintenance is becoming a much harder proposition than it historically was. So I think that is absolutely contributing to some of it. But could this be the other piece of the puzzle, making the housing markets even weaker, that the foreign buyers have pulled out? It's interesting times. And real quick, guys, if you enjoy this content in any way, I would appreciate you smashing that like button, maybe subscribing to the channel, or just letting me know in a comment below. It helps me out immensely, and I appreciate everybody who already has. Now, they are saying that the biggest declines are actually happening in large cities, the biggest declines in Canadian searching, with Houston dropping 55% in their search volume year over year. That's for May. Philadelphia dropped 53%, and Chicago dropped 47%. So interesting. I wouldn't picture, all those places, no offense, guys, doesn't sound like vacation snowbird territory. So it's kind of a strange kind of a strange metric to use for me, those large metros, but they are saying that basically Canadian interest is falling in every single metro and across the country as a whole. As you can see, we've got some more traffic work in downtown Punta Gorda. This is not the roundabout, which is also another disaster. I can honestly tell you, I've never seen a more poorly planned traffic construction situation, or really even like a layout. I don't know what they're doing down here, but it's an absolute mess. I don't take my life in my hands coming across this street as I tend to do down here in Southwest Florida. That's just kind of comes with the territory when you live here. Not the best drivers. Not the most aware. It's not who you think it'd be, too. You know, everybody jumps to the conclusion it's like old people, but I've gone past some 30-year-olds that are just, they're not there. Someone's behind the wheel, but no one's behind the eyes or the phone. Down in the phone. I don't know. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, getting into the date, the rate, marry the house situation, we have discussed ad nauseum how dangerous this was while it was happening, really. While it was going on, I mean, when people were doing 2-1 buy downs, you know, you get your rate bought down for 2 years, it'll adjust in 2 years. Those kind of promos, planning on taking on more house than you could, banking on a refinance that everybody told you was coming, and now it's not here. We've gone over all that before, but now the Wall Street Journal is coming out and basically stating that homeowners who bet on lower rates are now paying the price. And they do give some examples in this article of buyers who purchased a home, basically assuming it was a townhome, assuming that rates were going to go down and that they could struggle with it for a little while, and then they would be able to make things work when they got a refinance, which I think if you're trying to refinance that quick and you're going to pay those closing costs again, I don't know. I don't know if that works out. It would have to be such a huge rate difference. But, well, these people, unfortunately, and I'll link this article, looking like they're going to have to sell now. And they've got the house on the market. Nobody's biting. They're lowering the price. It's not working. And now we're getting into dangerous territory here. This could be a very nasty situation. And there's a lot of people like that. Right now, we have these buy downs resetting. This is when those promotions that were done 2 years ago are set to kick in now, and you're going to go to the highest rate or the prevailing rate, whatever deal you got. So that's going to make the next year interesting as well, because on one hand, like I mentioned at the intro, we have everybody harping on the great delisting. Everybody's delisting. Well, we're getting a new round of homeowners that basically have to sell at this point as well, because the refinance option never came and they got to get rid of the house if they can, if they put enough down, if they have enough equity, which is another issue. And sometimes it's not even the rate, guys. People are just so buried in debt. It's crazy. Like a lot of people, even with 2 to 3% mortgages, are just underwater on their bills. It's outrageous. And it's sad to see that it seems like some people who took advantage of 2%, 3% rates thought that left the door open for them to carry like $1,000 car payment or two $700 car payments. And they're in the same boat as someone who couldn't refinance. It's absolutely crazy. I saw a stat. It was on a YouTube short the other day, so take it with a grain of salt. But the guy was saying 1 in 5 Americans who have purchased a car recently, 20% had over $1,000 car note. And at that point, if, maybe you got a good rate on the house, but you're burying yourself in your automobile. So, I don't know. Weird times, weird economic times. It's just everything's kind of shaky right now. So it is what it is. Now, they do state in this article that many real estate agents and lenders advise that if buyers can afford a mortgage payment at the current rate, they should buy while there is less competition. Buy now. It's always buy now. And plan to refinance later when mortgage rates decline. It's literally what caused the article. And they're saying, oh, it's okay, do it now, because now at least there's less competition if you can afford it. Which, I guess, yeah, it's not a bad idea. But we've had 20 years of skewed policy where this worked. This was inevitable. You could buy a house and always refinance later because we were in an environment where rates were dropping for 20 years, or they were low or near zero. And that works until it doesn't. And right now it doesn't. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people caught up in this. I think it's going to affect a lot of people who purchased in the last 2 years. And we're going to see how that offsets the great delisting. And an article from Realtor.com highlighting all these sellers pulling their homes off the market. They're saying delistings surged nearly 50% last month as sellers who can't get their price quit the market in frustration. And that is what's going on around here as well. We've gone over it. I don't know if it's the best strategy. This is nationwide. This isn't just Florida. So it seems to be that people have got such a skewed thought of what valuations on their homes should be from the pandemic, not just in Florida, but all across the country. And now the reality is hitting them that it's nowhere near where they want to be, but they think it's going to come back. And without those low rates, I'm not quite sure it does, maybe, but I can't see how we get there without free money again, because that's what fueled it last time. So they go on to say that the increase in delistings follows a surge in price reductions. And that's important to remember, that a surge in price reductions, as some sellers with unrealistic price expectations faced a softer market with limited buyers. Now it seems that they would rather wait out the market than accept a lower price for their home. Again, I'm not sure that's a great idea. Because there are people that said that last year in Southwest Florida. There's people that I'm going to wait till next year, and we're down 10, 15% more than we were last season. So risky game to play, if you ask me. Now, they are quick to state as well that unlike past housing cycles where falling prices pressured underwater homeowners to sell, today's homeowners benefit from record high levels of home equity. So they don't need to sell. They don't need to sell, is what they're saying. But that's where I want you to pay attention to the price drops. Well, if you don't need to sell, why are you dropping the price at all? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't need to sell, put your price and don't change it. And are there some who do that? Absolutely. But for the most part, we're seeing record price drops as well. So the narrative to me doesn't completely click. It doesn't make sense. And I had a similar situation just recently, if this gentleman doesn't run me over here. Okay. Where we toured a home. It's a beautiful home. Had friends of the channel going around Rotunda West. And it was overpriced. It was probably, they were asking like $450. I thought it was like a $399 home. Don't get me wrong. It was a nice house. So when we expressed that to the listing agent, that was the answer we got. Well, they don't need to sell. Well, then why do you have this listing? Why are they on the market? Like, that. Why? Okay. And right after we had that conversation where our people decided they were not going to be making an offer because sellers were too far away from reality, they dropped the price $5,000. Like, well, you don't need to sell. What are you dropping the price $5,000 for? Like, that doesn't, ducked. So, yeah, we don't need to sell, but you want to. You want to for some reason. So you're not completely unmotivated. You may not agree with what the market's doing right now, but that's the reality of the situation. And the stuff that doesn't sell was overpriced. It's as simple as that, because we are selling homes here, guys. People are taking advantage of this market here currently in Southwest Florida. And, it's your decision whether you want to do that or not, whether you think that's a good idea right now or not, or you want to wait. It's up to every individual person. But if your house doesn't sell, it's the price. That's it. Price heals all wounds. And to say we don't need to sell, I don't know. Nationally, according to this article, 20.6% of all listings had price drops in June. That's up 2.2% from last year. So is it going to be 25% next June? 40% next June? Who knows? But I see people mention that don't sell now, wait it out. How long, guys? Wait it out how long here? How many years could it be till your house goes back up 25, 30% in value? Because that's what it has fallen in some of the communities like Punta Gorda and Cape Coral and surrounding areas. How long till it gets back to that price? how much cost, how much risk, how many taxes, how many storms. Again, everybody's personal decision, but these are the things I think about. Okay, friends, that's all I got for today. If you like this video, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.